Every now and then Hardest and I like to mix things up by doing something different, particularly if we've got some other decently reliable players on our team, so we know that if it goes wrong we're not too fucked. We occasionally try things that puppies aren't used to seeing. This is one of those cases. Now, I'm calling out our KV4 this match right at the start because he spent the entirety of the last match, the one before this one, on my team shit-talking me after doing only 115 damage himself and saying how bad I was. So we're off to a great start already. We've got the same shitlord on our team again. If you want some real comedy, keep an eye on chat. Instead of going hill, like he seems to think we need to, I take my 430 down along the low road here. Now, it is in defilade from the enemy most of the way. It also has the best camo value on movement and standing of any tier 10 in the game. They don't see me until I'm on top of them. A bunch of the other mediums follow me across, and an E5, because I guess he's just a fat medium at the end of the day. And although I get kinda careless of my hit points here, I'm able to get into the gully. 183 forgets to switch mode on his keyboard, which is always amusing. It happens in the test server a lot. Roll out, take the Tiger 2 while it's distracted and the T-28's not looking, and because he is now looking, I pull back into cover and let the tanks with more health deal with him. Now, our KV4 thinks this game is already a loss, but just look at the way our team's deployed. We're already in the enemy base, and they have nothing here to defend it. More to the point, all of these players in the enemy base, well, nearly all of them, are the best players on our team. Which doesn't really suggest anything good is going to happen to the enemy team this match. They do have a Roomba cowering in the back of their base. Well, not the back, I suppose, the side. But in relation to us, it's certainly the back. Not content with being merely a normal shitlord, our KV4 decides to be a xenophobic shitlord as well. This T-54 appears to be the closest thing the enemy actually have to their own cap, so we decide to take him out quickly before he can really do much to stop us. And then as the enemies start to push across the hill, although not very successfully I should note, our KV4 decides that we need to cap. Cap quick. Where have I heard that before? Missing quite a bit of health, but I still have the best camo, so I can quite happily push around, spotting things for my team and engaging from camouflage. Again, I'm not spotted until I'm right on top of people. Even though I'm firing at these guys, they still cannot see me, partly because there's bushes between us and partly because I'm hiding mostly behind terrain. I decide to take a risk here and cross the open. They still don't see me. And this is why I love the 430. Cap morons, cries our KV4 as our team handily defeats the enemy force coming down the hill and also has the other half of our team sitting in their base. Apparently he's worried we could still lose this match, which is a fucking laughable concept. I'd like to remind you that basically every tank to my southwest still has full health or near full health. Now here my gunnery isn't the best, but thankfully my spotting is. I overextend a little and oh god, that's a 183. But I get lucky. He fucks up his shot, his hesh gets eaten by my tracks mostly, and it just spins me out. And what's more, it spins me out most of the way into cover. Now here I was just having bad luck against the E5, I think. It may have been because he was uphill of me, I must have been glancing off the top of his cupola, but Either way, that's keeping him distracted and pinned down, while the rest of my team were able to engage him from a distance using my spotting. That obviously was just not a good shot. Now, take note, RKV4, who has been bitching all match, is actually still alive. So not only do we defeat the incoming enemy attack down the hill, but the guy that was complaining so much, thinking the game was lost, scarcely 2 minutes into it, is still alive. Incredible how that works. In fact, I wish we hadn't capped, because I would have liked to get a couple more shots in on this 54E1. But at the end of the day, I will take a win, especially a win like that, and while I may not have done a huge amount of damage myself, I certainly helped my team do a huge amount of damage. If you check out the spotting, you'll see why I carry optics on this tank. That's the thing, if you have a well-camouflaged, low-to-the-ground, well-armoured medium with optics on it, and you send it across that road, down from H2 into the little gully at K3, you can do so much damage to the enemy team so quickly, especially if they go hill like this team did. But even if they tend to stay in their own base, you can still put out a lot of damage just by having your heavies and TDs shoot across the field and then run a conga line of mediums down the south. With that said, it's something you can only really get away with if you are in a group of good players, as I was. Bad players don't know how to use terrain, so what they'll do, instead of following that road along, which just keeps them in defilade, they will actually ride straight across the field, where they're obviously visible and easily hittable to everybody. Not only that, but they're blocking their own team's shots. The other thing bad players will do is fall off the edge into the water because they can't drive, or fire as they're crossing. Now, I fired right as I was about to get into cover, because the T-32 looked like he was trying to cut me off, and also because I knew at that point I was going to be lit within any second anyway, so there was no point holding camo much longer. But bad players will shoot all the way across that road, and they will get lit doing it, and they will die horribly. You really need people who know what they're doing, people who've done this before, or just people who know how to exploit terrain. Which I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it's like the upper reaches of what would on a standard XVM config be like green, darkish green, or blue. Reds, yellows, oranges, fucking assorted bads will not know how to do that. They just... I've seen them try it. It doesn't work well. They suicide across there, or the other thing they'll do is they'll go across the north side of that field, across a swamp, which is stupid because A, it's a swamp, so you can barely move. It slows your tank down, slows your turning ability down. There's a lot of camo there, so you're likely to be spotted before you're able to spot whatever's lighting you from up here, because the camo works against you more than in your favour. If they're up here, they've got elevation on you, they can just pop over, spot you, and then fall back. The other thing is, of course, you can be shot on 4 sides actually, if they come out along here themselves. It's just an open, bad position. Don't ever go along there. Not in a light tank, not in a medium tank, not in any kind of tank. The two viable paths here are that road down there, or the hill. Cutting across middle, I'm not going to call it a viable road because it's not until you've got control of the hill. If you try and cross that when the enemy team control hill, or when hill's still under dispute, you're going to get fucked up, because you've got guys here shooting across at you, you've got guys on hill shooting down at you, and then you can have guys down in their base shooting up at you. Again, shot on 3 sides. It's not a good place to be at all. That's the sort of critical point you need to take away about positioning in world of tanks. You need to minimize the number of sides you can be shot at from. It doesn't mean hiding up in the corner of the map so you can only be shot from 1 or 2 directions. It just means knowing where the enemy team are likely to be, what they can see from those places, and if you're going to be hit in the front, the sides, or the rear by enemy tanks. So if I say push straight across that field, I know I'm going to get shot from up here, I'm going to get shot from down here, 2 sides. And I'm going to die because there's no cover or camouflage. If I push the hill here, I know I can't be shot from in front unless they crest. I know I can't be shot from down here unless I come to the edge of the hill. So if I actually stay near the top edge there, really the biggest threat to me is artillery, which is why I usually do go hill. Down here, you can actually be shot from this position if they actually spot you, which is a big if. you can also obviously be shot from here, but typically only the guys on this south corner will be able to hit you because you are, as I said before, in defilade. If you cross the field, you're going to be shot from in front, side, up there. Not good. Anyway, just to throw up a little variation on a theme of Melanovka, it goes to show that you can actually cross the field and do quite well with it. It's something we've seen before. I mean, if any of you watch Hardest stream, you'll probably remember the game where he took a KV-5 across the field, because we were both somewhat inebriated, and he ended up drowning like 3 or 4 people and killing a couple others. So if you can actually get across there and into that K3 area, you can really put the damage on the enemy team, either by spotting them for guys in your base and Artie, or by actually baiting them into coming down and fighting you one at a time. So it's definitely a viable strat. It's just not one that's tried very often, because good players know not to do it unless they've got a good team, and bad players are just bad. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I wish you the best of luck on the field.